So let me tell you a story. You see, when I was 19, I was working at my local Advanced Auto Parts in the middle of nowhere, Alabama, and this guy came in buying random parts for some cars that he was picking up and selling. Over time, me and this guy kind of get to chatting, and after a while, he mentions that he has this old abandoned 240. That's all he said was 240. And I asked him, I was like, oh, well, what kind of 240 is it? And he said, oh, it's just an old 240 SX. I've basically had it since it was brand new. And I was like, okay, what's the story? He was like, I had it when I was younger. Me and my friends kind of shared it, put it up to 257,000 miles, and then I took the head off of it to do a head gasket on it and kind of refresh it. Long story short, I ended up going through kind of a nasty divorce. My family owns a farm. I put it out to pasture literally in 2004, and it sat there ever since then. And I was like, maybe this is an opportunity. Fast forward a little while, we get to chatting back and forth. He gives me his number. He sends me some pictures of the car. Then he goes, hey, why don't you come out, take a peek at it? Just throw some eyes on it. You seem to be really interested in it. So I go, yeah, I'll come check it out. So then one day before work, I drive over to the family farm, go out there, and sure enough, is a 1989 Pig Nose 240 SX sitting out in this field. Forgotten, but not too far gone. It needed a lot. It needs a lot. But it was all there. It was completely original. This thing is untouched. Obviously, like, I'm 19. I'm fresh out in the adult world, and I've got starry eyes, man. I freaking love this thing. And so he turns to me and he's like, you seem really passionate about this. I always hoped that I would get this car back on the road. I never got the chance. Let's be honest here. I'm getting older, I'm going through these health issues. You know, I got a kid that's going off to college. The reality of me actually being able to do that is unlikely. So he told me, he said, I will sell the car to you for $300 on the condition that once you get the car going again, I get to drive it one more time. And I said, okay. And we hooked a trailer up and brought it home. And then that's kind of where the story gets interesting. If you go back and look, there hasn't been a YouTube video uploaded to this channel since May of 2018. In that video, I talk about an internship that I received with a car media company out of Atlanta called S3 Magazine. That video and that opportunity became the crest of what is now the roller coaster that is my life. And I didn't know where it was going, but it was going somewhere. That was the important part. That internship wasn't just some summer job that briefly kept me occupied for some class credit. It literally altered the core to my DNA. Like, if it wasn't for that internship, that part of my life would just have gotten lost in some alternate dimension. Hey Nate, how's it going, buddy? I never asked you. You were in Mexico, right?
I was, yes sir.
How was it?
It was incredible.
You see, that internship led to a few things. It led to me becoming a writer. It led to me becoming a video host. Technically, it even led to me becoming a professional race car driver. All for the first time. The biggest thing that it did was fuel a small town boy from Alabama's sense of adventure. Just in case you were wondering, that's what small town Alabama Hunter looks like. Truck's pretty clean though. It finally gave him a purpose and a culture that he finally felt like he fit in. because pickup trucks and tractors just weren't cutting it. However, that's not the purpose of you clicking on this video, is it?
Well, duh.
You're here for the crusty old S13. And trust me, we're getting there. I just need you to hang in there with me for a second. This part's important. You see, all those adventures don't come without a price. That price being the S13. In the pursuit of starting my career, chasing the dream and finding my footing in whatever this weird existence is that we call adulthood, the trail leads to me moving out of my parents' house in Alabama to find my own place here in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. The issue with that is I was working on the car in my parents' garage, and my new place didn't have the space to even put it, let alone work on it. So unfortunately, I had to leave it behind with full intentions on retrieving it soon and figuring out a way to work on it. Fast forward almost 3 years later.
I totally forgot about it.
My friend Caleb, some of you may know him by his superhero alter ego, Gingium. See, he had recently moved to the area, gotten a new shop, and after a while of hearing me reminisce over my long forgotten dream car, shut up already! He says, bro, why don't we just go get it? I've got the space and the tools. Let's make it happen. Just throw me some cash once a month and you can use one of the lifts. So I thought about it for a little bit, talked to the wife.
This seems like a good idea.
And then the wheels were set in motion. With the help from Caleb and my good friend, who also was the best man at my wedding, JT, plus his truck and trailer, we hit the road to save the crippled old Barnfind again. I should mention that before I moved away, I had already started working on the car. Some of the things that I did included cleaning out all the parts in the interior from where they disassembled the top end to do a head gasket and just put everything on the inside. I then pulled the engine to get ready for a swap. Hold on. After that, considering how long the car sat, I wanted to check the rust on the underbody of the car, pulled the rear subframe, sanded down the underneath of the car, and re-undercoated it with POR 15. I've never dropped a subframe before, so I don't exactly know what I'm doing. Alright, there it is. And now we've got to do all these bushings when I have never done a bushing before. The underneath of the car is all ready to go, and now it's time to apply the new undercoat. At the time that I moved, I was in the middle of the process of refurbishing the subframe and got it to relatively the point of reassembly, and then the garage door shut. So 3 years later, I'm having to pick up where I left off, and that's where our story picks up. All right, it's currently 8 o'clock in the morning. We are 14 minutes out from my parents' house, which is where the S13 is. JT's here, and then of course, you all know, the one, the only, the Caleb Sandlin.
Nailed it.
There we go.
Let's do this thing, bro.
All right, let's go. I don't think my parents had set foot in that garage when I left. Everything was covered in dust and cobwebs. Like, it literally looked like a barn find again, which was kind of crazy. We had a couple of issues. There were some parts that still needed to be ordered, but luckily there was enough there to get rear suspension back underneath the car and get it on a trailer. Things are going. I don't know if you guys might remember Zach from back in the day, but he's still alive and well. Subframe's just about ready to go in the car. Everything's in terrible shape.
2, 3. Wow, it's really heavy.
So granted, obviously everything's not together. There's no axles in it. It's still got the 4-lug hubs. The car's obviously going to be converted to 5-lug because this is just to get the car moved. And then once the car is settled, back at Caleb's shop, we'll get 5-lug hubs, put them on there, and be good. Obviously, we'll get new brakes, new brake lines, all that fun stuff. We've got the coilovers. The coilovers are right there, but it's not worth the effort of putting them in. But we're pretty dang close to putting the car on the ground for the first time since I bought it, and I'm super excited. We put the wheel on the hub, and Zach just gave it like one little tap with a shoe, and the whole wheel fell off. So we're putting the CV axle through, putting the axle on to at least hold the wheel somewhat in place so we can get it on a trailer. So
the problem is like,
there goes the strut. I can't believe it's here. So many people told me that I'd give up on this car and that I would sell it. I deserve that. So many people told me that I'd give up on this car and that I'd sell it. And don't get me wrong, I almost did. I debated it. This guy back here in the tie-dye hoodie, he tried to convince me to sell it to him a good few times. And almost convinced me once, but I didn't follow through.
I mean, we gotta sound like a contract where the time limit.
I get first right
time
refusal.
limit, I get the car for free.
No,
The
I
time
get-
limit can be really large.
I've had first right refusal on this thing since.
Alright,
This is
if the
true.
time limit expires, he gets it for free and I get $1,000.
The documentation of this is not for anybody but me, myself, my friends, my family, and everybody that's been involved. A, just because it's what I do for a living and I'm very passionate about this and documenting and storytelling. But B, just because this car deserves the story that's associated with it. Literally today alone, JT, Caleb, Zach, everybody, my dad, my mom, everybody who lended a hand and making this happen and bringing this here and letting me just have my hands on it and turn a wrench again for the first time. And what feels like a decade, honestly. Knowing so much more that I know now that I've moved out, that I'm on my own, that to be able to invest time and energy and money into something that not only has been in the back of my mind, but it's just something that I've been drawn to. I'm very grateful for. So, there we go. See you next time.